Flossing. Some people say it's harder to stick with this habit than it is to quit smoking. Why does it seem that the healthier the habit, the harder it is to make it stick? Now, going to the gym 3 times a week, I get that. That's really, really rough. The environment can be super intimidating, and some of those new moves, well, they can be pretty tricky to learn. But what makes flossing such a tough habit? Cleaning your teeth with a piece of string is super simple, and it takes less than a minute to do. And if you're the type of person who gets cavities, flossing can actually make you richer. Let's face it, dentistry is super expensive, and it's not fun to pay for crowns and root canals when they could have been prevented. But guess what? We still don't floss. So what the heck gives? Today we're going to dive into exactly why flossing is so freaking hard to keep up for an extended period of time, and then jump into exactly how to make it ridiculously easy. Honestly, sometimes it's just a few tiny changes that make a huge impact. Why is floss's big brother, the toothbrush, so much more well-liked? According to James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, the addition of flavors, aromas, and foaming agents to both soaps and toothpaste decades and decades ago sparked a huge increase in their use among the general public. But why? The simple change to these products created immediate gratification where there was only delayed gratification before. For example, the first toothpaste were flavorless and didn't foam up. The only reward for using this stuff was simply a decrease in the likelihood of developing cavities or gum disease. Because this reward was vague and, more importantly, delayed, the habit of using it didn't stick. Once new toothpaste that tasted amazing and foamed up like a bubble bath came to market, people loved them because it made their mouth feel great and it gave them fresh breath too. An immediate reward is now given every time you brush your teeth, which reinforces the habit. As James Clear writes, what is immediately rewarded is repeated. Unless you've discovered some sort of euphoria-inducing brand of floss that I'm not aware of, then, well, flossing just isn't that rewarding. And as a result, it's very unlikely to encourage habit formation. And here's the first intrinsic problem with flossing. It lacks immediate gratification. The good news is, we can change that. As James Clear touches on in his book, we are supremely visual creatures. Flossing, as it is, provides very little in terms of a visual reward, other than maybe a little bit of plaque sticking to the string when you pull it out, which is rather gross. Therefore, we need to create a pleasing visual reward for flossing that didn't exist before. This is much simpler than you might imagine. All you need is 2 glass jars and some marbles. Fill up the first jar with marbles and leave the second empty. Place both on your bathroom counter where they are extremely conspicuous. For every day you floss at least 1 tooth, take 1 marble from the first jar and place it in the second. I know, this sounds like something kindergarten teachers would do to get their kids to behave. That being said, you'll be shocked at the willpower you'll summon just to add another marble to your jar. In fact, it's the very same system I use to motivate myself to create videos for you guys to enjoy. If you don't have room for jars and marbles, buy a tiny calendar and draw an X on every day that you floss 1 tooth or more. For me, nothing beats the marbles. I just find the satisfaction of dropping a marble and hearing it clink and clank in the jar as it goes in. It's just so satisfying. Even if you're lazy and only flossing 1 tooth per night, you're actually building a foundational habit. And with a solid foundation, what you build on it is gonna last. Within no time, you'll find yourself with a jar full of marbles and a mouthful of perfectly flossed teeth. Great, so now we've made flossing rewarding, but how can we make it easier to do in the first place? When I say easier, I don't mean it in a physical or technical sense. Instead, I'm talking about making flossing mentally easier. I'm assuming most of you already know the basics of how to floss. If you don't, there are tons of YouTube videos out there on the subject. Let me ask you a question. Where's your toothbrush right now? I'm guessing it's probably on a bathroom counter, ready to go. A follow-up question. Where's your floss? If it's tucked away in the cabinet somewhere or still in the packaging from the drugstore, don't worry, you're not alone. We can make flossing mentally easier by placing it out in the open. As Mr. Clear would say, the first way to form a new habit is to make the cue for it super obvious. If your floss has a lid on it, rip it off and expose part of the string so that the physical floss itself can be seen every time you walk into the washroom. You know you're going to brush your teeth, so place your floss container on top of your toothpaste tube as to make the cue even more ridiculously apparent. Ever crashed on someone's couch only to wake up with the fuzzies all over your teeth the next morning? Many people can't stand this sensation and immediately develop a craving to brush their teeth. Unfortunately, flossing doesn't have such a tangible craving, unless a piece of food gets stuck where it shouldn't. We can't count on rogue popcorn kernels to get us flossing though. So what can we do instead? Another concept in Atomic Habits is temptation bundling. It's a technique we can apply to develop a craving for flossing. Every time you're about to indulge a habit you really enjoy, your brain gets a hit of dopamine, which makes you feel really good. The key is, it's the anticipation of the reward that triggers the dopamine spike and not the reward itself. The thought of reuniting with a significant other, child, parent, or sibling can sometimes be more enjoyable than the actual reunion. We can use this to our advantage. Let's say you drink a small glass of red wine every single night. At some point in the evening, you'll develop a craving to pour yourself a glass. Perhaps it's after your kids run downstairs to go play Fortnite. We're going to hijack this craving and link it to a new habit, flossing. We can do this by creating a new rule for ourselves. When I crave red wine, I will floss. After I floss, I will drink my wine. What happens here is that the craving of red wine will release a surge of dopamine into your brain. If you floss during this dopamine spike, we begin to associate flossing with the anticipation of pleasure. If our created rule is diligently followed long enough, then we will begin to crave flossing because we subconsciously understand that it was associated with a reward. It's not easy to start and stick with the flossing habit. Luckily, we've discovered some tactics to genetically modify the habit of flossing into something much stickier. Whether it's a trip to the toy store to buy marbles, grabbing a bottle of red from the cellar, or just making your container of floss annoyingly obvious, you begin to realize that you could apply these techniques to any habit you want to form in life. So the reality is, if you can make the flossing habit stick, you can do anything. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I have a lot more coming. I want to reach 1,000 subscribers by March 1st, 2019, and right now I am at 356. So a little ways off, but that's all right. We're gonna make it. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.